So let's start out by talking about the Flipper Zero and just giving a quick overview to the platform and how it can be applied to pen testing, how it can be used within a pen testing context. So the Flipper Zero, it's a and I'm sure you already are aware of a lot of this information because if you're taking this course, you presumably have a Flipper Zero in the first place. So, forgive me if this sounds repetitive, but with that in mind, the Flipper Zero, it is a multifunctional open source device, and it's designed for hardware hackers, pen testers, hobbyists, people of that sort. It has some pretty interesting key features. The first of which is that it supports digital radio. Basically, it can be used as a digital radio to interact with various devices via 433 or 868 megahertz NFC and more protocols. So there are a ton of different protocols that it supports in terms of radio protocols in a very, very small form factor. It also has an infrared transceiver, which can be used to emulate and clone remote controls. It contains the ability to emulate USB HID devices or human interface devices, so it can mimic keyboards and mice for input attacks, also known as bad USB attacks. We'll talk about those in depth in the second half of this course. And also it has GPIO pins, so it's really cool because you can extend it. You can add more powerful antennas, more powerful radios, create custom hardware extensions, and more. So that's really important for, especially the batch cloning stuff. And it also comes in a really cool looking Tamagotchi-like interface. It has an engaging pet-like companion that lives in the Flipper and evolves based on your actions. It's pretty interesting. In terms of pen testing capabilities, a lot of this is really tied closely to physical security testing, right? Because it's a lot of short-range stuff. But it does give you the ability to interact with RFID and NFC. You can read, emulate, and clone cards. You can sniff radio traffic. You can capture and analyze signals. You can clone remote controls. So if you have garage doors, barriers, or other, like remote controlled items, you can interface with them. And one of the coolest features is a really easy to use and reliable platform for conducting bad USB attacks. You can inject keystrokes, execute scripts, and really do a lot to compromise computer systems with this thing. And best of all, which we'll see in this course, we're going to be diving into this quite a lot, is the custom scripting capabilities. You can load and execute custom payloads. And honestly, the scripting, it uses DuckyScript, which is developed for Hack5's Rubber Ducky. It's very easy to use in terms of a scripting language. It's not even, it's not quite as full featured as a normal programming language, although you can execute things like PowerShell. So if you want, or anything else, so you can load your fully featured programming languages into one of these scripts and run them. But the actual syntax itself is very, very simple, which is good because it allows us to get up and running very quickly. And you don't have to be a computer coding wizard to do it either, which is always nice. So there's a really strong open source backing to this. There's a really good community around it. It really is a community-driven project, and there's constantly a lot of activity from active contributors who are providing bug fixes, feature enhancements, so things of that nature. There's a lot of different custom firmware available for this. This course actually is centered around using a specific custom firmware that is well suited for pen testing. It's kind of what this whole course is about. And the open source nature of the device allows developers to create firmware that's tailored to meet specific needs. And there's a vast repository of user-contributed scripts, payloads, applications, just about anything you want. And it's very easy to get into if you want to start developing those things yourself. Not to mention there is a very active forum that it is very good about sharing knowledge, troubleshooting, and it's very collaborative too. It's actually a pretty good culture. So you don't have to worry about being intimidated about going in there and asking questions, which is always great. Some really great benefits for pen testing are that this is a very portable device. I mean, it's about yay big. Like it fits in the palm of my hand. So it's compact, easy to carry, great form factor. It's an all-in-one tool that replaces. I mean, this thing. My biggest complaint about it is that the power level for this thing isn't that great. Although that can be expanded. What I mean by the power level, the output power of a lot of the modules. For example, to clone a badge. Where something, if you're using like a MyFair, you could do it from a considerable distance, whereas with this, you'd kind of have to get up right next to it and actually touch the badge you're cloning. But apart from that, and that can be remedied through these GPIO pins, that are on the outside of the device. So you can attach external modules that we mentioned, increase your transmit power. Apart from that, this thing, once you resolve those power issues, this has the capability to replace. I've got a shelf in here somewhere with like an entire shelf of physical security pen testing devices. You could just instead bring this thing, maybe bring some external modules that you attach to it. That's it. It's fantastic. So it saves you a lot of time, and it's easier to maintain and troubleshoot too. A lot of these things are not designed to be intuitive. This is. So, and it's cost effective, compared to, a single one of these devices, like a Proxmark, for example. That's a couple $100 at least, depending on what goodies you attach to it. It could be a lot more. This thing, again, it's, and that's for one tool. That's for one component of what this thing can do. So it's very affordable compared to specialized equipment for physical security, for doing radio stuff for physical security testing. And it's continuously updated, which is great. And there's a whole open source community around updating it. You don't have to wait for the developer to come out with a patch. And it's all open source. It's all very out in the open, transparent. You can, since it's just like a neighborhood of people contributing to stuff, you can all talk to one another and help each other out, which is great. So, kind of wrap this up. It really, I think it's going to become an essential toolkit for modern pen testers. I really do. It's just going to become a standard part of the typical arsenal, much in the way that, for example, Kali has, or Kali Linux, the operating system. It's versatility and open source nature and active community. When you combine those things, I really do think it's a game changer.